So yesterday we have done till here in the task to like create Azure AD group with assigned dynamic membership, and here we have opted for that P2 license. Just click try and buy. Okay, so this was like that. If we go to our directory, so this is my default directory. Okay, we have created another directory. You can do it with this default directory also, but
Abhishek,
we have
your voice
created.
is not clear.
Pardon. Hello.
Abhishek, your voice is not clear. Can you please go through some loud?
Now it is clear.
I think it's clear for me.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah,
Then
it's
I
clear
think there
for
must
me.
Yes,
be
clear.
some internet connection issue. Just try to be close to your Wi-Fi or use an Ethernet or LAN cable that will give you a good connection. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I go to the portal, this is the default directory, and we created a new directory. Now we created a new directory earlier. That is also a task. So in the task 3, see, create an Azure Active Directory, that we have done earlier in first option only. We created a new directory. Okay, this is optional lab. This is an optional lab, but still we do it. Okay, so you can try that out. If you are doing this in if you are creating users in your default directory, then in the third task you may go and create a new Active Directory. Okay, try to create a new Active Directory.
I
So
get
we
an email.
already did it. We already did it in first step. So we will not do the third step again. Okay. So now here, if I switch the directory, because we have opted a P2 license in that directory, Contoso directory. Okay. So
I get
this
the
is
email.
you got the email, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. So now in this directory, this is a Contoso directory. Okay. And we were doing the lab here. Now, if I go to Azure Active Directory here, so how we did that? So after going to this directory or in your default directory also, you just go to licenses, all products, click on this try and buy. Then there is a Azure AD Premium P2 license, free trial license it is. Okay. You can create up to 3 free trial licenses. Okay. You can create up to 3 free trial licenses, and that will be valid for 30 days. Okay, so you can go and activate. I already activated this yesterday. Okay, you will find that in yesterday's recording. I already activated this. Now see, Microsoft Entra ID P2 license is there. Okay, so this license is activated. Now see, here in the basic information tenant, in your like before we were seeing, right, Azure AD free license was showing in your basic information. Now if you go and see, it will be updated to Azure AD Premium P2 license. Okay, now what you have to do, you have to add the users to this license. You have to add the users. So if we go to the all products, click on this licensed users. You can go and assign users and groups. Add users and groups. You can add. Okay, you can add all the 3. Select review and any assignment option. Azure multi-factor authentication, no. As of now, everything is on. Okay, Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. Okay, Entra ID P1 P2, everything is assigned. See, license are assigned now. see all the three users we can see here. Now, once we have seen all the three users, now you can go back and create the groups. Now you can go back and create the groups. Let's see that step here. So after doing this, refresh the browser window so that activation can be successful. It can take up to 10 minutes for the license to activate. Okay. From the licenses, all products, select the Microsoft ID P2 entry. We selected that. We have assigned licenses to all the users, right? There were three users. We assigned the licenses to all of them. Now, in the Azure portal, navigate back to Azure AD Tenant Blade and click on groups. So now we'll be creating the groups here. So if I click on group, okay, we can create a new group here. You can see group type security, group name, IT, cloud administrator. Group description, Contoso IT, cloud administrator, and membership type is dynamic user. Okay. So membership type is dynamic user. If the membership type drop down list is grayed out, wait a few minutes and refresh the browser page. Okay. Dynamic user. Okay, it's not grayed out. Add dynamic query. Add dynamic query. Okay. Click add dynamic query on the configure rules tab of the dynamic membership rules blade. Create a new rule with the following settings. What are the settings? The job title operator means job title equals to cloud administrator. Okay. Operator means you all know arithmetic, logical operators, plus, minus, equal, less than, equal, all those things, right? So property name will be job title equals cloud administrator. So here you can add, okay, you can configure the rules. Job title operator equals, okay, value you can copy from here. What are the values? Cloud administrator. Right. Now you can save this. You can save this query. Okay. And after that, I think you can create the group. Save the rule by clicking add plus add expression and save. Back on the new group blade, click create. Okay. We'll go and successfully created the group IT administrator. It will take time to reflect. See, IT cloud administrators. Object IT is this, group type is security, membership type is dynamic. Okay. Back on the groups, all groups blade of the Azure AD tenant, click the new group button and create a new group with the following settings. Now, one group we created as a this IT cloud administrator. Another we will be creating as a IT system administrator, and then we'll be using the adding the users to the groups, right? So let's create one group more here with type as security only. Group name will be IT system administrator and dynamic user only. Okay, so let's add another group first. We'll add another group here. Security IT system administrator. Group name, group description is Contoso IT system administrator. And the user is dynamic user. Dynamic user. Now add a query here. What was that? Job title, right? Job title equals. What will be it equals to? System administrator, right? Because here we are creating system administrator. So it will be equal to system administrator. Earlier it was cloud administrator. This is system administrator. Okay. Now expression is added here. You can save it. And you can create. See, IT Cloud Administrator Group and IT System Administrator Group. Two groups are created. Now we have added the users, we have created the users, we have seen how we can log into the users. We have created the groups here. Now in the left further, back to the groups, all groups blade of the Azure AD tenant, click the new group button and create a new group with the following settings. Now they are also saying to create one more group. That will be for IT lab administrators. IT lab administrator. Now, why we are creating this IT lab administrator? This is for managing the labs. I'll show you that. Okay, I'll show you. So IT lab administrator. So just create one more group here with IT lab administrator also. And I'll show you the difference why it is here as a dynamic user and why it is assigned user. Okay. Now here it is assigned user only. Click no members selected. You have to click this blade. As of now, sorry, not this one, members. Now you will add the members here. You will add the members here. Okay. We go back. From the add members blade, search and select the IT cloud administrator and IT system administrator group. Back on the new group blade. Click create. Okay. Just select here. Okay. So IT cloud. See, cloud administrator is there, and other one is system administrator. system administrator. Selected. Back and create. Now to this lab administrator group, we have added these two, cloud administrator and system administrator. Okay. So we have assigned two users to a group. That's why the type was assigned there, because we were assigning to users. And this IT cloud administrator and IT system administrator. Okay. So these are dynamic users. And the new one which we created, it as assigned users, because we have assigned the other two groups to this one. That's why this is in the type of membership type is assigned here. This is still point number 17 we have done. Okay. Back on the groups, all group blade, click the entry representing the IT cloud administrator group, and on then display its members blade. Now in the group section, we have to go to the groups and we have to go to IT cloud administrator group, and then we have to display its members blade. Verify that the AZ1041A user appears in the list of group members. Okay. Now we have to see. Okay. So let's check it there. So we are in the group section and then IT cloud administrator. Now where we can check that, on then display its members blade. You have to go to the members blade. Where is the members blade? In the manage section. This is the members blade. See, both the users are there. AZ1001A, AD user 1 and AD user 2. Both are already present. Okay. Navigate back to the groups, all groups blade, click the entry representing the IT system administrator group, and then on then they display its member blade. Verify that the 104 appears there. Now why 104 user 2? Because why 104 user 2? Anyone can tell that? No. If I go to the again back to the group blade, and here I'll select system administrator. And if I go to the members blade in the system administrator, is not showing here.
Cloud?
No, actually when we added the users, we added the user one. See, if we go back to the lab, we created two users. One user was a cloud administrator. Other user was a, sorry, where was that user? Okay, there's a mistake. Why it is not showing? Because we have created both the users as a cloud administrator. It should be a system administrator here. The second user should be system administrator. Okay, we had made a mistake in this. We created both the users as a cloud administrator. That's why both are showing in this. It should be like that. User one, if I click here in the members in the IT cloud administrator, it should show one user only. Because one earlier when we created the users, one user we have to be it should be created as cloud administrator, and other users should be created as system administrator. But by mistake, we have created both of them as a cloud administrator. That's why both of them are showing in the cloud administrator. Now let's check 1 second.
We can move it, or you have to create a new one?
No, wait. Let me check. So if I go to the users blade here, user 2,
Job title is system administrator, right?
Job title. Yes,
yes, it should be system administrator. That's why it is not showing an IT system administrator group. Okay. Let's check if by editing this, if it can be seen there. Save. Okay. User is updated now. See the groups now. Members blade. No, still both are shown.
Oh, no.
See, now we can see only one user here. Okay. Because we have changed the properties of that user too. Now, if I go to the system administrator blade, in the members section, I should see the user too.
Yes.
Right? So this is how all you manage the groups and users. Okay. This is how you manage the groups and users now. So let's go back to that task. Now see, we are seeing this here. Now in the task 3, what is the task 3? It is saying create an Azure Active Directory. We have already created that. Yeah? We have already created that, but we will see how to go and create that. Okay. In this task, in the Azure portal, search for the Azure Active Directory. Try the creation a few times. Check the management tenant section to ensure the tenant wasn't created in the background. Okay. Now what you will do? You will create a directory here. What type of directory? Azure Active Directory, and the name will be Contoso Lab. Contoso we created yesterday only. Okay. So let's see how to go and check that. So if I go back in the directory section only, let's go back to my default directory. Now, if I go to the Azure Active Directory here, hmm, not from here. Where was that option yesterday we created, right? Which manage tenant section. Okay. So let's see again. Go to Active Directory. You will be seeing a Manage Tenant section. Okay, Manage Tenant section. In the Manage Tenant section, you will be seeing all the directories here. Okay, Contoso, default directory. You can click on Create here. You can choose which directory you want to create, Azure Active Directory or Azure Active Directory B2C, business to customer, right? But here in the lab, it is showing that we have to create a Azure Active Directory type of tenant. So just choose for that. And then if you go next, you can give here Contoso Lab. Then Contoso organization or Contoso Lab you can give here, and that will assign you a domain name, initial domain name. Choose the location, go next, click review and create. The new directory will be created. Now when the new directory will be created, go back to home, click on this option, directory, managing directory plus subscriptions. Click on this option. When you click on this option, you will see all the directories which are added here. So one will be your default directory, another will be your Contoso directory, and you can switch between the directories. As of now, my default directory is current directory. I can switch. Now I will not be having any access. I will not be having any access in this new Contoso directory because I cannot create the resources. See, it is asking me that start a free trial, manage Active Directory. Why? Because I have not been added. I have not been added as a member to maintain or manage any services, right? That's why I cannot do that here, right? Let's see how we can do that. Okay. What is that? Okay. So click next configuration. You will be creating this directory. The initial domain name should not be legitimate name that potentially matches your organization like this. Okay. Click review and create. You will be created. Display the blade of newly created AD tenant by using click here to navigate to the new tenant, Contoso Lab link or the directory plus subscription. See, I told you that. Okay. So this is the directory plus subscription bar. Here you can click and you can manage to switch between the tenants. Now manage Azure AD guest users. Manage Azure AD guest users. In this task, so you have to do this task because we did it yesterday. So just do this task, create an Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. So all these things don't do in a new directory, do it in our default directory. And in the third task, create a new directory. Okay, in the third task, create a new directory. Okay, and then go to this fourth task. After creating the new directory in the third task, go to fourth task. Okay, manage Azure AD guest users. Now you will be managing the guest users. In this task, you will create Azure Active Directory guest users and grant them access to resources in Azure subscription. In the Azure portal, now here what if you add some users, if there is some new joinee in your organization and he is added to some group, the user is created, you added the user to your Active Directory, and then you added, say it's an Azure admin. Okay, it's a system administrator. Okay, so you will create the user type, job title as system administrator, and then that user will be automatically added to IT system administrator group. Okay, that user will be automatically added to IT system administrator group that we have seen before, right? When we were changing the properties of that user too. So we have seen that it has been automatically added to system administrator group. So once it is added to the system administrator group, then you have to grant the access to the resources, right? Now that system administrator group in your organization must be having already granted the access to system resources, some of the resources. Okay, so when you add the new joinee to that particular group, then that joinee can access, maybe say that joinee is a system administrator, he or she joined as a system administrator, then he must or she must be having access to all those resources in the subscription which are assigned roles in that particular IT system administrator group. Okay. In this task, you will create Azure AD guest users and grant them access to resources in Azure subscription. In the Azure portal, displaying the Contoso Lab Azure AD tenant, in the manage section, click users and then click a new user. Create a new user with the following things. Now, you have to again create a new user. Now, earlier we created a user with name 01A. Here we will be creating with 01B. Okay, and that will be a system administrator. Let's go and create there. Okay. Okay, that's the current directory. Active directory, user section. You can do an auto-generated password also, but remember to copy that password. Remember to copy that password. So when you are creating any user or adding any user in your organization, if you are doing this, clicking this auto-generated password, then please copy this password beforehand only. Otherwise, after creating the user, you will not get the password. Okay. Copy this password, copy the username, and what you will do from the Teams channel or anywhere from the Teams channel or not in the Teams channel. It is not allowed to share the password and user in the Teams channel. What you will do, you'll send an email, one-to-one email to that person who is like joining the organization, one-to-one email. Okay. You will not anyone to that email. Don't put anyone in the CC. Okay. One-to-one email for this username and password. And once that user will log in using this username and password, he will be asked to change his password. He or she will be asked to change his password. Okay. Like we have seen yesterday, we created a new user, but first time when we logged in with that user, it asked us to change the password. So similarly, when you will be adding the user, you can check this auto-generated password, but remember to copy this password beforehand only, before creating the user. Okay, you can do that. So let's copy this one. See, okay. Here, copy there. Next, properties, job title. What is the job title here? So see, all these things are what I'm telling you is a best practice. Okay, all these things is copy the password beforehand on all these things are best practice. Okay, if you are choosing that. Sometimes mistake do happen, right? Someone didn't copy that password and all, and then it will be difficult to recover that. Usage location.
So as a global administrator, we can reset the password if we forget.
Yes. If you have that, you can also reset the password. But why to do that kind of work?
If we enable SSPR for that user, self-service password recovery, then in that case also the user
No,
can reset.
But in this case, first the user have to log in one time.
Okay. We
Like
can password.
if he or she does not log in first time, how you can use that property? Okay, so that property enables only when you enabled or you logged in first time, and after that that is enabled. You got it right?
Okay.
Yeah. Because if I log in with this user first time, so as soon as I put my password, it will show me a window like this, and just there will be three options there: current password, new password, and new password. That's it. So you will not find an option to change the password at first time, right? So it's
Password
always,
reset.
yeah, first when you log in first time, you have to log in first time with the same password which is generated. Click on the newly created profile. Okay. Copy to the clipboard the username and all. Let's do that first. There's the profile here. There's the username.
Hello, Abhishek.
Yes.
Yeah, on that screen, there is an option reset password. So can we reset using that?
Mm,
Up,
for this
beside
user, right?
refresh. Yeah.
See.
You copy it and send it to the customer by email.
Pardon?
Okay.
So let's say customer wants to reset his password. You just copy the temporary password and send it to him by email.
Yes. So whenever you will reset password for anyone, you have to send it securely. And sending
Mhm.
securely means only by email, one-to-one email. That's it.
He will change it.
Pardon?
He will change the new password.
Yes.
he log in.
And whenever you set a new password, it will always ask user to change it. It will always ask, because you have seen when we reset the password, it told you that it is a temporary password. Temporary means one time password, only one time. You logged in one time with that password and you have to change that password. And whatever we generated the password while creating the user, that was also a temporary password. That is a random temporary password. This was also random temporary password. This was also a random temporary password. So that when user logs in first time, the system will ask the user to change its password. Okay.
A customer he cannot do a reset password, right? Like can change the password and so on.
Pardon?
Customer he cannot do it like reset password, right?
No,
He
he
has to
can do. He can do, but not the first time. He cannot do it first time. Okay. And we have to set the properties of that user. Self password reset and all those properties. Okay. Then only he can do that. You have seen the option in Gmail, right? Gmail or any other website. You go, there is an option to reset the password, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can give that option, no worries. But in the organization, it doesn't happens. It doesn't happens in the, you don't have to enable that option, because
But-
by mistake, if someone makes use of that, okay, someone by default, your user or your employee is in some problem, and some other user may hacks his password or uses that link to reset the password of that user, then what will happen? That false user may get access to his or her phone for resetting the password. Then what will happen? A false user will be logged into that user's system, right? Or that user's profile, and anyone can create any disaster using that, right? So that's why it is never recommended. It is never recommended to set that reset password for your organizational users. Okay, if you want to reset the password, you have to create a ticket. Okay, sometimes what happens, the password is expiring. So for my system also, the system always remembers me. Okay, in 90 days, in 180 days, your password needs to be reset. So before that, what I have to do, I have to reset the password. Otherwise, once the time is over and I'll not reset the password, what will happen? I have to connect to the administrator. And that administrator will provide me the password, and then only he or she will be providing me a temporary password, and then I have to reset that password or create a new password after I logged in first time with using that temporary password. So this is not done in the organization. This is not best practice. Okay. So every time if there is any user, just ask them to create a ticket to reset the password. They will create a ticket for that purpose. Okay. They will create a ticket.
Is there anywhere we can create a ticket or somewhere? Or
Yeah, there is a ticketing tool. There are ticketing tools here.
Yeah.
Okay, using those ticketing tools, you can reset the password. You can create the tickets and ask them to reset the password or give you a temporary password. You can ask. So sometimes what happens, like my colleagues are there, they forget their passwords. They like sometimes, or the password reset, that time period of password reset expires. Okay, so they are not able to log into the system. They are not able to log in any application, not even ticketing tool. So they call me or any other colleague. Okay, please create a ticket for me for resetting the password. So they call me, I create a ticket on behalf of them. Okay, this user forgot his username, or the time period for the changing the password is over. Just I create the ticket, and then the IT administrator, what they do, they create a temporary password for that user. And using mobile phone, I share the number. Okay, this is the one, this is the member, this is the phone number of that member. I remember, like I mentioned the phone number and the email ID of that particular member. So what happens, they share. Mostly they call the member on the personal phone number. Okay, and then they share the temporary password to log in. And once it is login, so as soon as you put that temporary password, the system will ask you to change the password again. Okay, so that is the way you work in an organization. Okay,
what's the option, like the tool for ticketing? Can you show us?
what's the option for?
Like what's in the search? What do you type in for tickets? Create a ticket.
So do you use any ticketing tool in your organization as of now?
Yes, I'm using
Okay, which one? Jira?
ServiceNow, ServiceNow,
Okay,
Rail, and
ServiceNow.
Jira.
We are also using
ServiceNow,
ServiceNow.
Jira.
Yes.
Jira, actually, Rally is also the latest one of the Jira. It's also follow the agile methodology.
Right. What
Yes.
do
So I'm
you
using Rally.
do you have any ticketing tool?
Yes, ticketing
No.
tool also. Service now. Actually, we are create the ticket on service now. Actually,
Okay.
require any like a password reset, but we have also access to can reset the password myself. Only. Yeah, every user can have the access to reset password also. Service now you can.
See, this
Yes.
is service now. This is a
Yes.
ticketing tool.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So
This is also ticketing tool.
these are all enterprise tools. So you purchase the license and all to run all these. So these are third party tools. Okay. So third party solution provider. So companies do purchase the license of all these things. Okay. Service now and all. So there are number of ticketing tools. Okay. Number of ticketing tools. One more is that there is Jira.
Jira. So
See, Jira software. Okay. Atlassian. It is provided by Atlassian. Atlassian is a company. Okay. Developer mainly. Okay.
But that's
So this is
different.
also a
I
popular
thought-
ticketing tool.
I thought it's inside the Azure, like you can create a ticket.
So
or something.
these things we'll be learning in DevOps part. Okay. These things
Yeah.
we'll be seeing in DevOps part.
Mhm.
Let's see here again. Okay. So we created a user. And now click invite. Okay. Back on the users, all users lid, click the entry representing the newly created guest users. Okay. Let's see that option. I think here only the users blade when you create a new user.
Wait, is it?
Okay, this user is created now. Okay. Create a new user with the following settings. This is created now. Click on the newly created profile. Copy the username, return to the first tenant that you created earlier. Do this by using the directory plus subscription directly to the right of the navigate back to the users, all users blade, and then click plus invite external user. Now you got right. Click plus invite external users. So what I'll do, I'll go back, I'll change my directory, I'll switch the directory. Now my directory has been switched. Now what I'll do, I'll go to Azure Active Directory. I'll go to the users section. What I'll do here, I'll invite,
Right.
right? Now I'll put the email here, email of that user. Okay. Display name, same, this one. Now there is some message to be given. So subscription, navigate back to users, then click invite the user, new guest user. Okay. Now email. The user principal name you copied earlier in this task. So what you have to do? You have to email. So see, our email will be sent to this. An email will be sent to this. So using Outlook, you can access this email. Okay, using Outlook, you can access this email. Message. Display name, this one. Okay. Job title, lab administrator. Okay, in the properties and assignments. There is no message. No message. Okay. Department, job title. Properties. Job title. Lab administrator. IT and United States. Department is IT and next assignments. Is there any option for assignment? Click invite. Back on the users, all users click the entry representing the newly created best user account. On this profile grid, click groups. Okay, let's create first and then we'll be creating. As of now, next invite. Now all these things which we are doing here with the default directory, we should have done all these things in the default directory, and then we have to do these things with the Contoso. Now yesterday, like someone asked to create a new directory for these things, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes. So we should have created a new directory later on in the third lab, because now we are doing reverse thing, because this default directory is having all the permissions, right? New directory will not be having all the permissions. So we are doing a reverse, but we have to do like that. Default or root directory. Using default or root directory should be created a new directory and add the users in the default directory, and then go to the new directory, create a user over there, and from this default directory or that Contoso directory, invite this user over there, and then you will be able to access that user. Okay.
So without default directory, we cannot like use directory.
See, why I'm telling you default directory. You see the default directory. We have a subscription enabled here. You can use all the services, right? Hello.
Yes, yes. Sorry.
You can have all the services here. You can use all the services. It's because you have chosen a free trial subscription here, right? Using this, you created tenant directory. Which one? Contoso. Now, if I switch this Contoso directory, then here in this directory, you are not having any permissions, right?
Right.
So what you have to do, what all things we have done with this directory, like created the user, created the group, everything. See, this was our default directory. Okay. And this is our tenant directory. Now in the default directory, why is like that, I'll tell you. Okay. Default directory, and this is our new Contoso tenant directory. Okay, now this Contoso does not have any permission, or no member can access the services. Only the member can access. Which member? Myself, owner, okay, which is having a default directory. That member can access only Active Directory here. Only Active Directory. No services can be accessed. Why? Because if I have to do that, I have to create a group here. I have to create a group here in the default directory. Now, there are, say we created 2 groups here in the Contoso tenant. And this Contoso tenant doesn't have any permissions for using the services. And we created a group here and then the member here. And we invited that member here to use this default directory. And which group we are referring? So let's say here we created a group. Say IT system administrator. Okay, system administrator. Here we created a group. Now we created a user also here. Now this user is invited to this directory. And when we invited this directory, we are giving this directory the identity of the user. What identity? That this user is a system administrator, okay, sorry, system admin, and this system admin belongs to system administrator group, system admin group. Now where is that group? This group is in this Contoso tenant, which is not having, this Contoso tenant is not having access to any services. Ideally, the groups and all and the users should be created here because we have chosen a free trial subscription in this default directory. You got it, right? And then you can invite this user, which is created here, to the Contoso tenant. And then that user can access the services in this Contoso tenant. So in case when you go to your organization, there is always a root directory, okay? Root directory or a default directory. In this root directory, you choose some model, whether it is a free trial model, whether it is a pay-as-you-go model. Now, when you choose a model, then by default, you get access to the services, all the services, Active Directory also, services also, everything you got access. But using this root directory, when you create a tenant using this directory, then there is no model present in this tenant. There is no model by default present in this tenant. So this by default, this tenant doesn't have access to any of the services until and unless the user, the owner of this directory will be added to access the services in this tenant. So all these things will be created in the root directory only. Means root directory is that directory which will be maintaining the users and the groups. It will not be the secondary directory who will manage. Or this directory, hello? Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Actually, yeah, there was a power cut. I switched my network. So I am telling you that in order to make this directory a root directory, then you may choose some model here. What type of model? Either it should be a free trial subscription or a pay-as-you-go model. Then only you can use this Contoso tenant as a root one. And then you can create another tenant using this Contoso tenant. But here in our case, this directory, default directory, is the root directory here, because we have chosen a model here. So all that particular lab which we have done, do all these things with the default, and then when you go to the third one, create Azure Active Directory, then you will be creating this Active Directory tenant using your default directory. And whatever the users, the groups you have created in your default directory, now you come here in the Contoso tenant and create a user here, and then invite the user. Whatever the user you created in your directory, default directory, invite that user here in the Contoso tenant and give the permission to access the services. Okay. So yesterday you asked about creating a new directory. That's why I created the new directory. Otherwise, that was there in this lab only. Okay. To show you that yes, we can create a new directory there and we can use the services. That's why we created a new directory. Otherwise, you have to go with this way only. Go with the default directory, the root directory, to add the users and the groups. And then in the third task, create a new tenant. Okay. So we have gone backwards, like first created a directory and then we are giving access, like permission to access the services in the default directory. No, tenant group cannot give permission to access the services in the default directory or the root directory. It's reverse. If you are understanding what I'm saying, that tenant directory cannot give permission to access the resources in the default directory. It's like that you are giving your manager permission that, okay, you can use this service. No, your manager will give you the permission. So this is the root directory, default directory. It will give you the permission to access services in the tenant directory. You got what I'm saying, right? Everyone got this? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes. So don't do this exercise like that, what we have done from yesterday. Okay, creating a new and all. Just create users and all this in your default directory. Then go to the third task, create a new tenant. And then create a guest user here and invite that guest user in your Contoso tenant to access the services. Okay. And this is all written here in this document. Okay. So start with your default directory. Don't start with your this one tenant. Okay. So yesterday you told me that create a new tenant and let's see that. But this was in my mind that I'll show you how we cannot do that. Okay. So that's what I didn't like told you anything at that time. Okay. Because now this is an issue. You cannot give permission user to access the services in the root directory. Root directory will give you the permission. Means the group should be created in the root directory. So do it this way. Don't do it reverse. Now here Active Directory we have created. Okay. And we have invited this, right? Now let's see if you can do that or not. So here, go to the Active Directory blade. Users. This is the user. Okay, this is the third one. Okay, we are at the fourth one. User is created, user is invited. Back to users all the blade. Click the entry representing the newly created guest user. On this profile, click groups. Okay, let's see that if we can do that or not. So in the profile of this newly guest user, what you'll do? You'll click on groups. Click plus add membership and add the guest user account to the IT lab administrator group. Are there any groups? Hello? Why are not seeing any groups here? Hello? Hello?
Yes,
I created.
yes, sir.
You are not seeing any group here, right?
No.
Yes.
Why? Because we have done with that those things with the Contoso subscription. We have created the groups in the Contoso subscription. And using a group in the Contoso subscription, that cannot allow you to use the services in the directory, default directory or the root directory. But instead,
Reverse.
what we have to do? We have to do all these things in reverse. Means whatever the users and groups we created in the Contoso directory, you have to create all these things in the default directory. Create a license, P2 license in the default directory. And then
Everything on
create the guest users and invite that guest user to the Contoso directory. And then get that guest user can be added there to the memberships. Okay, that you will see the groups here, IT lab administrator group, and then you can add, and that person can access labs inside your lab. Means there is a lab. That lab is called a service. Okay, see lab accounts. So you can create and manage labs here. So who will create and manage? That guest user can create and manage in the Contoso directory lab accounts. So only this service he can use, that guest user can use. No other service he can use in that, because we have added that to the IT lab administrator group. That's why he can only access labs service. That's it. So just today, it's your exercise. Okay, whatever tenant you created, Contoso tenant. Okay, if you have created yesterday, just go and delete that tenant. Just go and delete that tenant. Okay, where you can delete? In the manage section. In the manage section. Here, if you go into the Active Directory, in your default directory, there is a manage tenant. There is a manage tenant. And using this manage tenant, click on here and just delete the tenant. Just delete the tenant. And start it afresh with the default directory. Okay. So don't do that mistake in your organization. All these things from yesterday till today, it's a lesson. Okay. That's why I didn't interrupt it in between. As you said, I did it like that. All of you got it, right?
We
What I'm
created.
saying.
Yeah, now we have to create all the user and groups in the default directory. Then we have to
Yes.
give access to the
Yes.
Cosmos directory. So from that, we have to invite the
Now,
user from
why it is
the
called? Yes, yes. Whatever you have done in this lab, start from here. Just do till task number 2. Till task number 2. All the points in the task number 2, do it in your default directory. Because your default directory, you have opted for a model. It's a free model or a pay-as-you-go model. And then create a new tenant, basically the Contoso tenant. You got it, right? I think Jitendra asked to create a new directory.
Normally,
Yes,
the company will use the pay-as-you-go model, so then we can no issue on that, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
company
yes.
most have
But
the
but that
Yeah, yeah,
pay-as-you-go
yeah.
model, there must be some default directory over there, a root directory, I'm saying. Okay. So in your
Yeah.
company also, there will be a root directory, a root directory. For that purpose, when you go in your company, you have to understand the model of your architectural model of your company. Okay. So how you can see that architectural model? Just go to that service, billing service, cost management and billing. So in this cost management and billing section, you can see the architectural model of your, see, if you click on management groups, see, there is a tenant root group, and there is a inside that root group, there is a free trial subscription, right? So similarly, when you go to your company's Azure portal in the billing account section, definitely you must be having a reader role on this billing account section. You cannot manage this. No one gives you permission to manage the billing section. There is a separate role for cost management and billing. Okay, billing administrator or something like that. There's a separate role for that. So no one comes and touches this cost management and billing. You can just go and see all these things. You can read out. You will be having a reader access if you have Azure subscription in your Azure. If your organization is using Azure, just go to this billing section and see the hierarchy. What is the root group? Inside the root group, you can find different management groups, different tenants. So there must be some root group there. So in that root group, whatever subscription will be there, there may be different management groups. There may be different management groups. Inside that management group, there will be one subscription which is running on some model, maybe free model or a pay-as-you-go model. Inside organization, definitely there is a pay-as-you-go model. Okay. And using that subscription, you can create other tenants. So whatever we have done is a reverse thing, Like earlier we created a Contoso tenant, then we are doing all the thing in reverse, like creating users and groups here, and then we are allowing the user to be invited here, and this Contoso tenant is allowing to access the services in default directory. Okay, it's just like reverse. You are giving your manager the permission to access.
In other way.
Yeah, so that is not possible. Your manager will give you access to the services, right? Or access to anything. Okay, so you have to ask permission from your manager. Your manager will not ask the permission from you. Okay, so do it in that
To
way.
create everything on a default directory, then invite Contoso, right?
Right. Create a Contoso using this directory, but first just create those two users. Which users? Members we created, right? Which members we created? One was cloud administrator, cloud admin. Other member was system admin, right? System admin.
Yes.
After that, what we did? After that, just try and buy a P2 license. Try and buy a P2 license for this default directory. P2 license. Okay. Now, after this, what you do? You will create groups here. What groups you will create? First group you will create IT Cloud Administrator group. Okay. IT Cloud. Second group, what you will create? IT System Administrator. Okay. After creating these groups, you will see one member will be added in the cloud group, one administrator. No, after this, you will create a third group. Which one? IT Lab Administrator. Okay. After this, you will see, after creating this, add these two groups. Add both groups to IT Lab. Okay. IT Lab. Now, when you go inside the groups you created, IT Cloud and IT Admin, you can see both the members added. In the IT Cloud, you added a cloud admin. In the IT system, you added a system admin. After this, what you will do? You will create a Contoso tenant. You will create a new Contoso lab tenant directory. And after this, after creating this, what you will do? After creating this, you will create a user here. Create a, where you will create? Here or in the default directory or in the Contoso directory? Where you will create a guest user?
Contoso?
The guest user, where you will be creating the guest user? It will be in the default directory or in the Contoso directory?
Default.
Yes, you will
Default.
creating.
Contoso
You will.
directory.
Yeah, you will be
Default directory.
creating in the Contoso and you will be inviting there. See, read this lab very carefully. Read this lab very carefully. Okay. Just give me 1 minute, guys. Huh? Just give me 1 minute. Huh? See, create and configure AD users. In this task, you will configure AD users. Now, when it is saying, as of now in the task 1, it is not asking you to create any directory. Okay, so just go with the default directory. So whatever you will be doing here, in task 1 is all in the default directory. Now, when you go to the task number 2, it is asking you to create group. Now for group, you will be needing a P2 license. So do this thing in your default directory only. As of now, in the second task also, it is not asking you to create any other directory. It is all these things you will be doing in your default directory only till task 2. Now, when it comes to the task 3, now it is saying you that create an Azure Active Directory tenant. Then you will create a new directory. And then in this task, you will create a new AD tenant. After creating a new AD tenant, in the portal, search for Active Directory. You will be searching for Active Directory. Okay. These all things are there after creating the directory. Click Manage Tenants. Then next section, directory type. You will be choosing all this and you will be creating a Contoso lab directory here. Click Review and Create. Now here you have done you have created your tenant. Now it is asking, click, go back to home, click to navigate to the new tenant. Click to navigate to the new tenant. Go to the new tenant. Now in the task 4, manage AD guest users. In this task, you will create AD guest users and grant them access to resources in Azure subscription. Okay. Now in this portal, displaying the Contoso lab tenant. Now what it is asking, go to the Contoso tenant. In the manage section, click users, add new user. Now you will add new user here in the Contoso tenant. Add user later on in Contoso tenant. See, everything is clearly mentioned in the lab. Okay. So just read carefully. Click new user. You will create a new user here. Which type of user? System administrator. Copy the name to the clipboard, everything. Now what it is saying, return to first tenant that you created earlier. Do this by directory subscription in the Azure portal toolbar. Go back there, go back. Invite a guest user with the following settings. Invite a guest user. Now what you will be doing? You will be inviting a guest user. there with the name lab administrator. Which user? This user only, this which you created in your first tenant. And then click on invite. Once you clicked invite, the user will be invited, and then the user will be added to that first tenant. And when you go to the first tenant, in this user, the new user which you invited, you have to add a membership there. Now it will only show the membership when you have created the groups in the first tenant only. Then only it will show you add groups in the add membership section. Otherwise, it will not show you. Okay, so do like this. You got it, right? Everyone got this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, clean up resources. In the cleanup resources, it has shown you that how you can clean up all the resources. So if you have done till now everything, okay, now I'll tell you this how. Go to the section, go to the manage directory. Now I have done all those things with the Contoso. I've done all those things with the Contoso. Okay, so I'll switch to this directory. I'll switch this directory. And what I'll do, I'll go to the Azure Active Directory in my Contoso tenant. Now what I'll do, first thing, I'll go to the licenses. All products. This is Microsoft Entra ID P2. What I'll do, remove the licenses for all of them. See, I removed all the 3 licenses. Refresh. It will take some time. See, now I removed the licenses for them. Now, after removing the licenses, I'll go back. What I'll do, there are users and groups. There are users and groups. So first what I'll do, I'll delete the users. First, I'll delete the users. The users which I created. Okay.
The notepad has been updated, right?
Pardon? Yeah, notepad has
not-
been updated today. Yeah, I updated the
Okay,
notepad.
then.
So follow the notepad, the new one. Okay, today one. Okay.
Yeah.
See, now only one member here. Okay, my default owner member. Okay, which is the owner of default directory. Now come to groups. See, there are 3 groups you created, right? Groups successfully deleted.
We can also take the backup for this group.
Yes, you can take the backup of users and groups.
Closing the organization if something is coming.
Yes, I told you this thing, I think 2 classes before or 1 class before, when I was explaining you how to use the user flow, how to invite guest users. I told you that every time in my organization, when the customers use our cloud application, so after 7 days, it deletes the audit logs. Okay, and what we are doing, we are taking the backup of the logs. And we are also maintaining the backup of users, customers basically, so that if there is any issue, like the one which happened in our organization. Like one of the customers was complaining that he was not able to access the application. So he did not maintain that. What did he not maintain? He did not logged into the application till 90 days. And after 90 days, what system has done? In the AD tenant, B2C tenant, basically, it removed the user. It removed the user automatically. So we have the audit logs there. So in that audit logs, we are maintaining the audit logs backup every 7 days. Because after 7 days, audit logs get deleted by itself. Okay. So we have go to the storage account, then we checked all those logs, why the user is not there, who deleted the user. Then we have seen in the audit logs, okay, the user is deleted because it completed the 90 days period and the user did not logged in till 90 days. That's why the user is deleted. So we connected the user and we did told him all the details. Okay, why you are deleted from the system? Because till 90 days you haven't used the application. That's why you are deleted. So for all these purposes, you have to maintain the backup of the users, maintain the backup audit logs of the users. All these things you have to maintain in your organization. Okay. So see, we have deleted all the groups here. Now, what you can do? You can go. You can switch the directory now. Go to your root directory. You can switch the directory. Go to the root directory. Go to the Active Directory section in your root directory. Go to Manage Tenants. Click on Contoso. Delete. Don't delete your default one. Delete Contoso tenant. Okay. Delete all license-based subscriptions. Okay. So it will give you the documentation also. Okay. To delete Contoso organization, you need elevated permissions for Azure resource subscription in order to remove them as a prerequisite to delete the tenant. Change the setting on access to Azure resource subscriptions to directory properties blade. Okay, you have to go to the directory properties blade first. Directory properties. For Contoso, it is not needed. Okay, for Contoso, it is not needed. Directory. Subscriptions. Contoso. See that directory property blade. Now I can do that. Now I can do that. Click here. Go back again. Go to your default subscription. Default subscription, manage tenants, click on Contoso, delete this. Now it should be deleted. There's one more thing we have to do. We have to remove license first. Okay, that P2 license. Then only it can be deleted. So this is a Contoso subscription. Go to Active Directory. This still we have this P2 license. Okay, and then go to licenses. Oh, not here. Okay, go to licenses, all products. Remove this license here. Azure AD free license we need to choose here. Or remove license or remove license groups. We have to remove this service plan details. Okay, no worries. I'll let you know how to remove this license and how to delete this subscription. So we can delete this subscription, but we have to remove this AD Premium 2 license first, and then only we can remove this subscription. Wait, 1 second. Go to users. Edit properties. Okay, well, let me check how to delete this license and then I'll update you on the group only. Okay. And one more thing, like who's Pankaj was asking. Pankaj, you can connect